Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And that is exactly what we're doing today. My number one issue with leftism as a whole is the lack of any ability to be, how could I describe it, constructive in a retrospective sense. You know, looking back at your previous mistakes and pivoting, changing your stances and changing your policies. Hey, we realized that this actually failed, this was a bad idea, maybe let's not do that. No, Democrats at least, the modern Western leftist, does not possess the ability or the humility to admit when they were wrong when it's literally obvious to everyone else. And that brings us right back to the border issue, as now the city of Denver is announcing budget cuts because of the immigration crisis hitting them, and guess what? Guess who's to blame? Of course, you already guessed it, it's probably at the tip of your tongue, Republicans. Republicans are to blame because they didn't sign on to a bill in Washington, says the mayor of Sanctuary City, Denver. Let's get into this, well, there's only one way to describe its stupidity. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, so take a look at this. Denver mayor cuts city services to redirect funds to illegal alien crisis, tries to blame Republicans. On Friday, Denver Mayor Mike Johnston announced several cuts to city services. He will redirect funds to the flood of illegal migrants who have entered the sanctuary city since Joe Biden took office. Johnston made clear that these are just the first in what would be an ongoing series of cuts in city services. The first cuts will impact the DMV and Parks and Recreation Department. On-call and seasonal workers will be most affected. So essentially, city services are being slashed. Most likely seasonal and on-call workers are now going to get fired. In other words, Denver taxpayers are getting less thanks to idiotic left-wing immigration policies, and it's Republicans' faults.
Thank you all so much for being here this morning. I'm here to talk a little bit about the devastating impact of the failure of Republican leadership in Congress this week to pass comprehensive immigration change, and the impact that will have on both city budgets and on services that we can provide for newcomers in the city. The second is we will start to have to greenlight a set of hard decisions about budget reductions across the city to meet those costs that we know will continue to arrive. We want to talk about two of those today. While they're the first steps, they unfortunately will not be the last and may not be the hardest. This is a plan for shared sacrifice. And so in terms of our first step on city cuts, we are announcing today we will make some changes both to our services at DMV and to our services on Parks and Rec.
And there you have it. Probably one of the dumbest things you've ever heard. Let's go through this step by step, shall we? Donald Trump is president for 4 years. During those 4 years, we see a clear reduction in southern border apprehensions. We see Trump throughout the years working hard, attempting to do whatever he can to build a border wall. It's effective just from a messaging campaign perspective. Illegal migrants aren't coming at the rate that they used to. Democrats find this to be an atrocity, so they declare themselves sanctuary cities where illegal migrants can flock to escape the racist wrath of bigot Donald Trump. Then Joe Biden is elected, and his campaign messaging is, we're going to give a bunch of free crap to illegal migrants. Come on over. Those migrants are then shipped to the sanctuary cities, self-described sanctuary cities for migrants. And now it's all out panic, cuts to services, and it's Republicans' faults because of a Ukraine bill in Congress that they refused to sign on, which, I mean, even if they did sign on, would take months, if not years, to actually be implemented. But the current crisis right now is because Republicans didn't sign on to a bill that would affect the future. Make it make sense. You can't, because it's absolutely freaking idiotic Democrat nonsense. People in Denver should be furious. Some are. I found this clip.
Community members showed up in numbers looking for answers about Lakewood's migrant response.
I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, I don't care about none of that, but the community needs to come together.
The issues raised centered around transparency, specifically Lakewood's position when it comes to sanctuary city status.
You don't need to proclaim sanctuary status. You don't need to have a vote.
Lakewood Mayor Wendy Strom and other city officials say they've had no discussions about it.
We are not having conversations about changing Lakewood into a sanctuary city.
Mayor Strom says talks of using closed schools in Jeffco to house migrants is also false, but they are talking about what could be coming.
Why would we not start to open up conversations about something before it hits us in the face.
I don't know how anyone could be fooled by this nonsense, but pretty much what's going on is Democrats are stealing your wallet. You notice a hand in your pocket, you turn around, there's two people, a Democrat and a Republican, and the Democrat is saying, the evil old white Republican man did it. Wake up. A classic case of misdirection. They claim the Republicans did it. Meanwhile, I found this story from December 7th, 2023, not even that long ago, where Denver's mayor asked the Biden administration for more work authorizations to get migrants off the streets.
We're back with a crisis at the border. A record 12,000 undocumented migrants stopped in a single day by Border Patrol this week. And as Julia Ainsley reports, it's adding up to more strain on some of America's biggest cities.
Tonight, Denver joining the growing list of cities struggling to handle a record surge of migrants, with entire blocks full of migrants sleeping on the street.
Oh, it is a crisis.
Mike Johnston is one of 5 Democratic mayors recently writing President Biden, saying action is needed to help cities address the crisis.
What's the one thing you want from the Biden administration right now?
When you admit someone for asylum into the country, they should get work authorization. We should expedite the process of approving that application so it doesn't take 4 years. It could take 30 days.
This guy is literally lobbying Joe Biden to give illegal migrants work authorization, essentially give them work permits. Then, of course, you see thousands of illegal migrants flocking to Denver, and now it's full-blown panic and it's the Republicans' faults. No, very simply, since day one, it's been a rhetoric issue. That's what Democrats don't seem to understand. They always say, well, what did Donald Trump do? Well, not much, to be honest. Democrats won the House in 2018, and the 2 years prior, well, Republicans weren't exactly working with Donald Trump on the issue of securing the southern border, but his rhetoric alone, the kind of shift in tone and the confidence to operate that gave ICE and Border Patrol, pretty much was enough. It was more than enough. Now we see Democrats calling everyone an asylum seeker. That automatically changes the narrative for people attempting to fraudulently migrate into another nation. Obviously, right? Promising social services and housing and medical care. For Pete's sakes, Eric Adams just approved $53 million in prepaid credit cards to be handed out to migrants.
Tonight, New York City's mayor pushing back on criticism of a new $50 million program to hand out prepaid debit cards to migrant families.
We need to dispel the rumor that we gave American Express cards to everyone.
Adams insisting the prepaid cards would curb the cost of inefficient food distribution that has led to expensive food waste, potentially saving taxpayers roughly $7 million a year. Adding the cards can only be used for food and baby supplies, with a limit of up to $1,000 per month for a family of 4.
If this is successful, we're going to expand it even more.
The pilot program drawing immediate criticism, including from rapper 50 Cent, who went on to social media to vent his frustration, writing, maybe Trump is the answer.
It's nothing but come on over here and get a gift basket and a fast track to American citizenship. That seems to be the marketing coming out of the Democrat rhetoric side. And then when crisis hits, well, it's, oh, well, what do we do? Sign on to this Ukraine bill. Oh, it's Republicans' faults. You people are full of it. I mean, absolutely insane. I don't know how anyone takes these politicians seriously, and I certainly don't know how they keep winning in these major metropolitan areas. What is with city people and electing completely useless incompetence? It's a fascinating phenomenon that I think was on full display today. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.